who looked as though he'd just remembered that he should have gone to the toilet before he left heaven. The two boys walked through the cemetery now, kicking up the drifts of fallen leaves.
"It's Halloween next week," said Wobbler. "I'm having a disco. You have to come as something horrible. Don't bother to find a disguise."
"Thanks," said Johnny.
"You notice how there's a lot more Halloween stuff in the shops these days?" said Wobbler.
"It's because of bonfire night," said Johnny. "Too many people were blowing themselves up with fireworks. So they invented Halloween, where you just wear masks and stuff."
"Mrs. Nugent says all that sort of thing is tampering with the occult," said Wobbler.
Mrs. Nugent was the Johnsons' next-door neighbour, and known to be unreasonable on subjects like Madonna played at full volume at 3 a.m. "Probably it is," said Johnny.
"She says witches are abroad on Halloween," said Wobbler.
"What?" Johnny's forehead wrinkled. "Like Majorca and places?"
"Suppose so," said Wobbler.
"Makes sense, I suppose. They probably get special out-of-season bargains, being old ladies," said Johnny. "My aunt can go anywhere on the buses for almost nothing, and she's not even a witch."
"Don't see why Mrs. Nugent is worried then," said Wobbler. "It ought to be a lot safer round here, with all the witches on holiday."
They passed a very ornate mausoleum, which even had little stained-glass windows. It was hard to imagine who'd want to see in, but then it was even harder to imagine who'd want to look out.
"Shouldn't like to be on the same plane as 'em," said Wobbler, who'd been thinking hard. "Just think, perhaps you could only afford to go on holiday in the autumn, and you get on the plane, and there's all these old witches going abroad."
"Singing, 'Here we go, here we go, here we go,'" said Johnny, "and 'Viva a Spanner.' But I bet you get really good service in the hotel."
"Yeah."
"Funny, really," said Johnny.
"What?"
"I saw a thing in a book once," said Johnny, "about these people in Mexico or somewhere, where they all go down to the cemetery for a big fiesta at Halloween every year. Like they don't see why people should be left out of things just because they're dead."
"Yuck! A picnic? In the actual cemetery?"
"Yes."
"Reckon you get green glowing hands pushing up through the earth and nicking the sarnies?"
"Don't think so. Anyway, they don't eat sarnies in Mexico. They eat something."
"Tortoises?"
"Yeah?"
"I bet," said Wobbler, looking around, I bet you wouldn't dare knock on one of those doors. I bet you'd hear dead people lurching about inside."
"Why do they lurch?" Wobbler thought about this.
"They always lurch," he said. "Dunno why. I've seen them in videos. And they can push their way through walls."
"Why?" said Johnny.
"Why what?"
"Why push their way through walls? I mean, living people can't do that. Why should dead people do it?" Wobbler's mother was very easygoing in the matter of videos. According to him, he was allowed to watch ones which even people aged 100 had to watch with their parents.
"Don't know," he said. "They're usually very angry about something."
"Being dead, you mean?"
"Probably," said Wobbler. "It can't be much of a life."
Johnny thought about this that evening, after meeting the alderman. The only dead people he had known had been Mr. Page, who died in hospital of something, and his great-grandmother, who'd been 96 and had just generally died. Neither of them had been particularly angry people. His great-grandmother had been a bit confused about things, but never angry. He'd visited her in Sunshine Acres, where she watched a lot of television and waited for the next meal to turn up. And Mr. Page had walked around quietly, the only man in the street still at home in the middle of the day. They didn't seem the sort of people who would get up after being dead just to dance with Michael Jackson. And the only thing his great-grandmother would have pushed her way through walls for would be a television that she could watch without having to fight 15 other old ladies for the remote control. It seemed to Johnny that a lot of people were getting things all wrong. He said this to Wobbler. Wobbler disagreed.
"It's probably all different from a dead point of view," he said.
Now they were walking along West Avenue. The cemetery was laid out like a town with streets. They weren't named very originally. North Drive and South Walk joined West Avenue, for example, at a little gravelled area with seats in. A kind of city centre. But the silence of the big Victorian mausoleums made the place look as though it was having the longest early closing day in the world.
"My dad says this is all going to be built on," said Wobbler. "He said the council sold it to